when I set goals, I get really motivated for a week and then lose steam. How do I stay consistent without burning out? You and everyone else, friend.
I know. I was literally like, girl, same. Let me know when you find out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, gosh, I think so much of this comes down to, we talked about this we did like a New Year workshop this year, and it was really fun. And I think just so like the messaging behind it and the whole purpose behind it was like, how can we create goals that actually feel like sustainable? Because I think a lot of goals, like when you find yourself in these patterns of like, I have this goal, this lofty goal, or this goal that I set for myself, and then I don't follow through, and then I fall off the wagon, and then, wash, rinse, repeat. And what's happening is, you know, you're setting goals potentially that aren't realistic. They're not sustainable. Maybe they're goals that like aren't even aligned with what you want for your life. You just like saw someone else do it and you're like, well, let me try that. And so I think when you don't follow through with a goal, it's an invitation not to look at it as like failure, but to look at it as what am I able to adjust in my life? How can I adjust this goal to align better with myself? How can I adjust it so that it actually fits into the life that I'm living, not the life that I see someone else living online? Like, how can we reassess this instead of feel like a complete failure every time?
I love that. I love that you just said that. I think that's such a big part of it. Like 100% the thing is that a lot of the time I think we like, it's like the metaphor, like biting off more than we can chew, like comes to mind of like, sometimes it's easy to be like, oh, like I'm going to take on this thing, like, and I'm going to do the thing like full out. But like, is that conducive to like the actual free time I have, to like all these things I need to maintain in my life, to the availability of like my work schedule, my schedule with like my family, my relationship, my whatever, my job, all of it. And so I really think it does like come down to like Rome wasn't built in a day. And taking baby steps, I think that that's like sustainability, like learning how to integrate something new, a new pattern into your life one step at a time, instead of like, I've heard this said about sobriety as well. Like instead of looking at it as like every day for the rest of my life, I'm never going to smoke a cigarette again. That can feel like a lot, and that can be really overwhelming and create pressure, right? As opposed to, I'm not going to smoke today. And then tomorrow, I'm not going to smoke today. And taking it one day at a time. And it's the same with like integrating a new goal. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym today. And then tomorrow, maybe tuning in, I'm going to go to the gym today as well, or I'm not going to go to the gym today, but I am going to go tomorrow. And so it's just like finding that like balance of like, maybe going to the gym 7 days a week. And I'm using this example, obviously it can be whatever goal, like it could be reading, it could be writing, it could be going for walks, eating cleaner, whatever, right? Like fill in the blank. Maybe it's not every single day for the rest of my life I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it 3 times a week. And to start, like that 3 times a week is going to be with intention, and I'm going to give it my best shot, but I'm going to hold myself to 3 times a week. There's 7 days, find the 3 that feel best and make that work, And so I think that exactly like just reiterating what you said about, making it sustainable and making it feel like something that's actually like something you can integrate into your already existing life. Because sometimes I think when we try to do these overhauls of like, okay, I'm going to like do this thing and I'm going to like reinvent my entire existence and pattern that I've been in for a year or 2 years or 10 years, that can feel like, so even if it's not like a perceivable like experience, that like even if we're not able to perceive how it feels, like subconsciously that's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
And so that can set us up in like that trap of like having a lot of motivation and then falling off because ultimately it wasn't actually like something that my lifestyle supports, or it like wasn't something that was integrated in a way that was like intentional, and over time it was like reinvention.
right now.
Yeah, like I need results yesterday, so I'm going to like do this thing
Yeah.
that ultimately like might not feel that good.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up in that situation. Yeah, I think keeping it small, or like if you have a big lofty goal, amazing, but like breaking it down into things that are actually going to be sustainable, that are actionable, that are able to be like integrated into your life. Knowing that things kind of ebb and flow and you might have to reassess at times, but to still like have that ultimate goal in mind, if that's what this is about, is like a big goal that you're wanting to work toward. I heard this thing recently too, just on the topic of goals and motivation, of like when you set a goal, you want to be like working towards something, like running towards something, not running away from something. Because like the further away, if we use like the gym and weight loss or fitness or things as an example, because it's just like such an easy example.
Yeah.
The further that you get away from the state that you're trying to leave, so maybe like lack of strength or feeling overweight, the less like attached you feel to that. It's not as familiar to you anymore, versus if you're actively like running towards something of like, this is the goal that I have, to have this much muscle mass, or to have less of a body fat percentage, or whatever that looks like in this fitness example. But like when you run towards something, you have that in mind. And so apply that to anything in your life, relationships, career, hobbies, whatever that looks like try that could be something as well, of like shifting the perspective of, instead of I don't want to do XYZ anymore, I want to become
This.
this. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so powerful. That is something that I feel like I've really like brought into my field. I think I mentioned it in a couple episodes ago when we were talking about like relationships and things. Instead of like looking at it about what in the perspective of of like I don't want to be alone anymore, or like I don't want to experience this thing, shifting it to the thing of like what do I need to do to become the person that can facilitate this, or like
Yes.
how can I prepare myself to be the person that does maintain this habit, practice, has this thing, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so exactly, it's exactly that. Like
Yeah.
just, and I think as you were saying that, I was thinking about our motivation, and how a lot of the time I think it's so human to like be motivated from the place of like a discomfort or a dislike in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves or like what we're doing. And um I just, the older I get, the more that I know, and the more I hear people talk about these things, like you're never going to hate yourself into a version of yourself that you love. And that's with anything.
Yeah.
You're never going to hate your job into a job that you love. Like coming from changing something from that place is never going to like result in something you love, because the motivation behind it is like rooted in such like intense discomfort, I think.